Welcome back to the last episode of On the Mound. I'm your host, Chloe Abbott.
And I'm Corey Johnson.
And I'm Kyle Fulbright.
Getting right into it, the Titan baseball team has not been performing. They are overall 20-24. They have a 6-9 conference record. What's going on? What do you see from this team, and why isn't it working?
Well, I mean, at this point in the season, they kind of are who they are. The pitching has been up and down throughout the course of this year, and you've been seeing how they've been trailing early in these games, and offensively, they just haven't been able to have the surge. Either sometimes they have a lot of offense and they're able to, score like 12 or 10 or double-digit runs, and that's able to, get them the win. But pitching-wise, it's just been way too inconsistent.
Yeah, definitely. Like, they're hitting that series against UC Davis. They had one game where they scored double-digit runs, and then the two other games they put up like 2 or 3 runs. That's not going to win them games. After the game, Bybee said, "The offense has picked me up all season, but this wasn't one of those nights." That's definitely true. The offense has been there. Like, his ERA is pretty high right now, but he has had some good starts, but the offense just wasn't there to pick him up that night in particular.
And it's got to be hard when Mitchell Berryhill is 4th in the nation for his batting average. We have other guys performing like Jared Switchers, Isaiah Garcia transfer. That has to be frustrating. Is the offense the only bright spot of this team right now?
Well, I would say so. I mean, the bullpen-wise, the starting pitching has been the biggest issue, but bullpen-wise, they've been pretty solid. Rick Vanderhook, I remember after one game, he was mentioning how he wanted to shake things up, and he decided to go with the opener, bringing a guy out of the bullpen, and that kind of worked out for them for that situation. But I think that it's kind of, like I said, they are who they are, and the pitching is not going to get any better, and it can't get any worse than what it has been. And I think right now you're just kind of looking forward to next season, just trying to prepare the young guys and get some of the freshmen and sophomores and guys who haven't really been playing some playing time and some experience going into the next year.
Yeah, that opener for him actually worked, and they did it 2 straight games against UC Riverside. They started Weisberg and then Dylan Brown, and they won both of those games. So it could be something they look to do in the future. But definitely, like with Bybee, getting him ready for next season because he probably will be their ace again, and then just recruiting more pitchers to come in and start on that staff.
Absolutely.
Right. Like I said, the season isn't going well for the Titans. How detrimental is it to have Sahid Valenzuela out with Tommy John and Daniel Cope also out with a broken finger?
It hurts them, but I think, like I said, it's not going to, be a big difference because even when these guys were available for them, they weren't really performing at a high level. Of course, I think losing Sahid is going to be detrimental for them because he provides that spark in the field. He's a solid when it comes to defensive-wise. But I think Daniel Cope is probably going to be the bigger miss because he was performing pretty solid for them as far as like hitting with the bats.
I think these injuries are big for him, but having the season that they are, them being hurt right now doesn't hurt them as much. They are seeing other guys that are filling in for him. At catcher, for example, they have freshman Cameron Guangarina, who was a high school All-American, and he's filling in. He's playing really well right now for him. And they're getting to look at other guys, the younger guys especially, and getting them ready for next season because this season they still do have a chance to go further and go into regionals and stuff, but it's not looking good for them right now. So getting ready for next season is what they are doing.
And that's not actually like a bad thing to just kind of say like this wasn't a good year and kind of just chuck this one aside and kind of just move forward because sometimes you go through those years where things are just not clicking. Your pitching staff is not working. You got injuries in the lineup, whatever the case may be. You kind of just got to get ready for the next season.
I agree. It'd be a different story if this was in the beginning of the year, beginning of the season. It's been rocky all season for them. So I think it is what it is at this point, and it's, like you said, time to get ready for next season.
When they could be injuries, too, that if they were winning right now and had a chance to go, they could play through them potentially, but there's no point doing that. All right now is getting ready for next season.
Right. Speaking of this season, though, you mentioned regionals. Cal State Fullerton has not missed a regional since 1992. Do you think this could be the year they miss?
Well, it's looking like it's heading in that direction, unfortunately. I mean, like we've been saying, like hinting on the pitching, if you're going to be a championship caliber team, if you're going to be a team that tries to go to the distance, you need your pitching staff to be like ace. You need them to be at the top level. And with this young pitching staff, like we've been talking about, like they've got like freshmen and sophomores, It's just kind of like a situation where you take these lumps now, you kind of learn what it's like to go through the Big West against these tougher oppositions and tough competition, and that way it kind of builds your momentum, builds your confidence going into junior and senior years.
Yeah, and the Big West is really good this year with UCI and Santa Barbara both ranked this season.
Yeah, I mean, the only bright spot I see for the Titans is they have 9 games ahead of them. UCR, Long Beach, and CSUN. All 3 of those teams aren't having the best season, not that we are, but that is our only opportunity, and they really have to come out at their best. Let's head over to softball, where it's a completely different story. The girls are absolutely dominating this season. Coach Ford said that this is a player-led team. Speaking of, Ari Williams is the leader, senior. She's having a phenomenal year. She's hitting over 400. Do you think they're so successful because they are player-led?
Well, yeah, I heard after that game in her interview, she said that Ari put her team on her back right there, and I think that's big for them because if Ari doesn't hit, then they have other players like Deja Hill and Alexa Neal that do pick up the team, pick up the slack. So having all those people in the lineup really helps them out.
Can't forget about Kelsey Whitmore as well. She comes up big time. I think she had 2 home runs a couple of series ago. So she's been playing well also. And I just think that this team, you're kind of just seeing that. Whereas with the baseball team, it's kind of seeming as if Vanderhook and the coaching staff has to keep guys a little bit more accountable. With the softball team, it seems like they're on a mission right now. They feel as if they have a chance of going deep this year, and I don't really see why they can't do so.
Oh yeah, and like you said, Kelsey Whitmore, she's at the bottom of the lineup. She hits 9th most of the time. So that just shows they're strong all the way through, and like you said, that whole team. Pitching is doing great. Freshman Danny Martinez, oh my gosh, she is a huge part to this team. Now, the last 2 years, UCLA has knocked them out of going any further than regionals. They could potentially see them again this year. They've lost to them this season already. What do you think is in store for the Titans?
Well, I think if their pitching sticks with what they're doing right now, that they could be any team. They have Danny Martinez with the under 2 ERA, then Sophie Frost and Taylor Dawkins both with sub 2 ERAs, or with middle of the 2s ERA. So I think if they can pitch like they have been lately, Sophie Frost, her last 12 innings, has only given up 1 run, and Dawkins, her last start through that complete game, allowing 1 run. So if they can stick with pitching like that and their lineup produces like it has been, I think they'll be just fine.
Yeah, also, I mean, you have to look at the fact that this just feels like a team that doesn't matter if they're trailing in a game, doesn't matter if they're up big. They know how to win games no matter what the situation is, because we've seen them have to come back in series. We've seen them have to, just flat out dominate teams like from the get-go. So I think that, like you mentioned, the pitching staff is solid. I think with the seniority leadership of, Ari Williams and, players like Deja Hill, Kelsey Whitmore, all this coming together, I think gives them a really good chance at going really deep this year and giving UCLA a big-time run for their money.
And they're starting to play good at the right time, too, right at the end of the season. They did have some rough starts in the middle of the season, but they've been picking up lately at the right time.
Absolutely.
Do you think they have one more series, and that's against UCR? They're 8-10. Do they take it easy? Do they play players that don't usually play and give their stars a rest? How do you think they should prepare for the regionals coming up?
I think they'll play because they still have to win 1 game to get a share of the Big West, and then 2 games if they want the outright title. So I think they're going to play full strength, going out there and trying to beat UCR.
Yeah, you can't get focused and worried about the future or what's coming up. The opponent that's maybe 2, 3, 4 games ahead. Otherwise, you don't focus on the opponent that's in front of you. So I think you just got to approach it the way you've been approaching it all season long. Throw this same team out there that has been working for you. So I think that don't change things up. Why change anything when it's working, especially at a crucial time, like Kyle said, at the end of the season.
And let's talk about Taylor Dawkins. She still goes out, pitches she's there when they need her, and she's dealing with cancer. How amazing is that? And how good is that for the team as inspiration for them to keep fighting?
Oh, I think it's big for the team. Last Sunday against Cal Poly, they had the No One Fights Alone Day, which was, and they all wore green to support her, and she started that game and went through the whole game only allowing one run. So I think it just shows like how strong she is and how much she really means to this team.
It definitely does, but I think it also energizes the team in practice, energizes them when they're down. It gives them that fighting spirit, like Chloe was mentioning, and just helps them to consider she's going through this. We gotta pick her up. We gotta battle for her, and again, just brings them closer together, builds that chemistry. Makes them closer as a group, and that's what you want. You want to be have that mindset of this person has my back no matter what. No matter what, if we're down, if we're up, we're gonna be together. We're gonna be fine no matter what the situation is.
Thank you guys. And closing out for the last episode of On the Mound, I'm your host, Chloe Abbott.
I'm Corey Johnson.
And I'm Kyle Fulbright.